Once again, Lance Stroll finds himself at the heart of controversy, and not in a good way. The Canadian driver allegedly lost his temper after the qualifying round in Barcelona, leading to smashed objects and cursing at his team members. This incident may have worsened his existing wrist injury, which has plagued him since early 2023. Rumours abound in the Formula One community that this injury could drive Lance to step away from the racing scene for good. Could this be the end of his F1 career? If so, what else is out there for him beyond Daddy Stroll's significant F1 project? Although Lance is a familiar face in Formula One, most experts, fans, and even some within his team think he's squandering the opportunity in that racing seat. It's no secret that favouritism runs high at Aston Martin, and it seems unlikely there will be any changes initiated by his father. However, a series of events might just push Lance to voluntarily exit the sport. It's also well known that his passion for F1 isn't as strong as that of other drivers. We suspected this might be the case. If you're skeptical, just take a look at his media appearances and his apparent disinterest in anything related to Aston Martin or Formula One. So, how could Lance escape from the sport that his father invested in and now owns the team? Well, perhaps his wrist injuries, starting back in 2023, could be a reason. Remember when Lance kicked off the season with a wrist injury from a biking accident? It appears that these injuries have worsened over the past couple of years, taking a significant toll on his performance. The incident in Barcelona after the second qualifying round, where Stroll was half a second slower than Alonso, might have triggered severe pain again. This could be a major factor in considering an early retirement from racing. Additionally, his painful wrist seems to underlie his emotional reaction in the garage that day. A report from the FIA revealed that Lance was in significant discomfort and skipped the mandatory weigh-in after the qualifying session in Barcelona. This oversight led to a violation of Article 35.1 of the sport's rules. According to these guidelines, any driver who wraps up qualifying after Q1 and Q2 is required to head straight to the FIA scale in the pit lane upon returning to the garage. Stroll's absence from the weigh-in, followed by a visible display of frustration in his garage, suggests that he was likely overwhelmed by the pain, influencing his behaviour away from public view. Clearly, he is dissatisfied with his current circumstances and emotional state. While he plans to compete in Canada, it remains uncertain how his wrist injury will affect his performance in the 2025 season. There's undeniable proof of his outburst. A team official confirmed Lance was visibly upset, perhaps to downplay the incident to the media. We can also reflect on an earlier episode in Qatar in 2023, where after being eliminated from qualifying, Lance shoved his physiotherapist and subsequently had to apologise. It's apparent that Stroll is obligated to follow instructions due to his team's PR concerns. His interactions with his race engineer imply a lack of respect that seems hardly acceptable. Unfortunately, Lance's performance doesn't grant him the leeway to act as he does, regardless of public opinion. People have been criticising Verstappen for how he communicates with Lambise, and if you watch him on the track, his behaviour might not seem surprising for a four-time world champion. This kind of behaviour isn't unusual among champions like Hamilton, Schumacher, Vettel and Alonso. Being at the top often comes with a certain leeway. However, if you're constantly criticised for lacking passion and relying on your father to secure your spot, it might not be the best time to assert authority over those working hard to boost the team's performance. Why should Aston Martin consider letting Lance Stroll exit Formula One if he chooses to? The answer is quite straightforward. He doesn't really belong in Formula One. This might sound harsh, but it's the truth. Sure, he's achieved a lot by competing in the world's toughest racing arena. But let's face it, just being able to drive an F1 car doesn't mean you have to stay. Interestingly, Lance tested a Citroën C3 in the Rally 2 competition in Faf, Portugal, suggesting he might be eyeing a new direction in racing. Formula One is incredibly tough on the body, and handling an F1 car is a testament to one's racing skills. Perhaps the next big journey for Lance isn't in that specific competition. He might discover a fascinating opportunity with Aston Martin's World Endurance Championship WEC team, offering him a stage where he could truly excel. Ultimately, though, it's the team's call to decide their path if Lance chooses to step away from Formula One on his own terms. It's worth remembering that rumours about Lance considering leaving F1 have surfaced before. Following his major crash during qualifying in Singapore in 2023, reports suggested his mother encouraged Lawrence to allow Lance to seek out his own dreams. This incident highlighted that Lance's career choices might be more about fulfilling his father's ambitions than his own desires. Even though he's achieved a lot, it doesn't necessarily mean he has to remain in F1 indefinitely under Lawrence's guidance. To be frank, if Lance is to bid farewell to Formula One, it'll likely be on his own accord, expecting Lawrence to recognise his son's underwhelming performance over recent years and make that decision seems improbable. Several key players are currently influencing Aston Martin's F1 journey, including Honda and Adrian Newey. If you're Adrian Newey, you'll insist on top-tier performance from the cars you design. Should nepotism hinder that success, expect a flurry of private discussions. It's not just about Newey and Honda though. Big names like Enrico Cardile from Ferrari and Andy Cowell from Mercedes have joined the team. These individuals are known for their relentless pursuit of excellence, pushing their teams towards nothing less than number one. Aston Martin's previous team aimed for success too, but with newcomers who are uncompromising on achieving podium finishes, the approach is intensifying quickly. Imagine how Newey and Honda's leaders would feel if the car is capable of securing victories, but Lance struggles early in qualifying or fails to finish races due to mistakes. So, what's the next move for Aston Martin's second driver? They undoubtedly hope to maximise Alonso's contributions before the two-time world champion retires and transitions into a role as an ambassador for the team. Who could they target to truly unlock the car's full potential? The most sought-after driver right now is undoubtedly Max Verstappen. As Formula One enters a new chapter, Max may reconsider his commitment to Red Bull. As Newey pointed out, Max is always on the hunt for the fastest car, and it's up to them to build that from 2026 onwards to boost their chances of signing the four-time world champion. Newey elaborated that Max is solely focused on having a fast car to showcase his skills, so he's likely to align with whoever promises to deliver the quickest vehicle. Aston Martin has persuaded Adrian Newey that their infrastructure is championship ready, making a meeting between Lawrence, Max and Newey potentially fruitful. Money isn't an issue and their hunger to win is strong, but the current driver lineup might pose a challenge for Lawrence. He's long hoped for Max to drive Alonso's car, which might explain why Fernando is hesitant about continuing past 2026. However, if Lance chooses to leave the sport for other pursuits, Lawrence might have to accept that his son is finished with Formula One, pursuing his vision independently. Other potential candidates like Yuki Tsunoda could also fit Aston Martin's goals. Although Yuki's reputation took a hit at Red Bull, where the second seat is often seen as jinxed, a fresh start with a new team might give his F1 career the boost it needs. He's still connected to Honda, albeit not as tightly, due to the split between Red Bull and Honda. However, this situation shouldn't be overlooked entirely. Given this, what do you see in Aston Martin's future? More crucially, do you think Lance might finally decide to step away on his own terms? Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. See you in the next video.